This situation, let me close now by saying, is it's not easy to say what is to be done, because it's a system that's in position now, not simply something, one incident or one development or one tendency that's occurring. It's a combination of elements, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to call it critical totalitarianism. But then what do we do? Well, I think we have to begin by recognizing something which is sobering, but which I have come to believe more and more firmly. And that is that I think we make a mistake if we think about our political system as a democratic system. And that's not because the people in power are hypocrites. That's not it at all. It's rather that I don't think it's possible for democracy to be a political system under present conditions. That is to really overlay the whole thing: society, economy, government. Now, the reason for that is democracy, I don't think, can govern a huge, complex society such as ours. And I think the day is past when it can. Now, there's also one other thing that contributes to that. And that is, it's a remark, if I could quote a remark of Aristotle. Aristotle said that democracy is the form of government run by those who work. Now, that's an important insight because it means that you don't have time. You don't have time to participate all the time, and you don't have what the rich have, the ability to buy proxies, proxy representatives, proxy people in charge of pressure groups, all the rest of it, fundraising, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So democracy begins from a disadvantage. It begins from the fact that ordinary people work. And that means that their political possibilities are from the outset severely restricted. Now, what that means, I think, are two things. One, I think you have to think of democracy, I think, first of all, as basically an opposition movement. That getting into power really into power is going to be a rare occurrence the higher up you go in the hierarchy, higher up from local to county to state to federal. The higher up you go, the less the possibility of genuine democracy. You may get representative government or touches of it, but you won't really get democracy because you're, in a certain sense, undercutting the whole point. The whole point being that if democracy is based on those who work should also be in power. Now, it follows from that, I think, that the democratic citizen has to be viewed as someone who does work, but who can find, nonetheless, opportunities to take part. And that means, I think, we get back, even though it may seem trite to say so, we get back to localism. The only thing in which we can really comprehend, both in our energies and even in our intellects, are things that lie closer to us, that we know something about, and that which are not of sufficiently large scale to overcome all the disabilities of democracy. That's not a cheery prospect, and I'm not cheerleading, because I think it's a relatively grim prospect we face. But I do think we can take heart, because there is democracy in the way I've defined it all over the country. It's isolated, it's weak, it tends to be occasional, it tends to be episodic, but I think that doesn't mean that it's either impossible, but what is impossible is to take over a system, because I don't think when push comes to shove that democracy wants to govern, and I don't think it ought to govern in the simple sense of the people running the system. I think instead we have to think in different terms. Thank you.